It's my last day in Malaysia. I'm currently in the northeastern town of Kota Bharu, which lies right near the Thailand border. Just having some street food as my last feast in the country, and tomorrow I'll be jumping on the bike and heading towards the border. And the actual border crossing consists of a ferry ride, and I'll find myself in the southeast of Thailand, which should be a little bit interesting. Here there's a bit of military activity going on. There might be some roadblocks and that sort of thing, because for the last 10 years or so there's been a bit of conflict, local conflict and violence between the Muslim majority and the Buddhist minority populations that live there. I've spent today just doing the last few things that you want to do before entering a new country. I've got enough snacks to get me to a town where there might be an ATM, so I don't have to bother exchanging money and get ripped off at the border, which can happen. That's pretty much it, really. I don't really know what to do to prepare mentally for it, but just look forward to it, I guess. And yeah, I'll be waking up bright and early, and as early as I can, so I give myself plenty of time to get through any troubles I might have at the border and that sort of thing. And I very much look forward to exploring a brand new country. It's so early that the locals aren't even up yet, so I don't have the luxury of being able to go out onto the street to get some food for breakfast. So I've packed myself some bread and some beautiful baked beans and apples and tomatoes to enjoy today, and hopefully this will get me through most of the morning. Usually you have to stop every 20 or 30 k's to get some sort of food in my stomach to keep the energy levels up, but for now, for breakfast I always just try and stuff as much in as I can to last as long as I can on the road without having to stop too much. I'm also the sort of person that has to eat within 15 minutes of waking up, so I can't sort of hit the road and reach a place where I might find food. I've got to actually have some breakfast with me to get into my stomach before I start the day. One last check that I've got everything. As you can see, it doesn't take much effort to get nice and sweaty early in the morning, even though it is not even 7:30 yet. It's pretty humid, so very important to keep the fluid levels up all day and all night. Just got finish the rest of the packing up on the bike to do, and then I'll have to look up a map to make sure I head in the right direction, but then we should be good. I've stopped about 1.5 kilometers away from the inlet that forms the border between Malaysia and Thailand in this part of the world. I'm not actually sure what the names of these towns are that are on either side of the border, but I think on this Malaysian side it's called Pangkalan Kubur, and I've got no idea what it is on the Thai side, but the town that I'm heading to, which is roughly 30 kilometers into Thailand, is called Narathiwat. Well, I've made it to the town of Narathiwat. It was a bit of an easy ride in the end. There were a couple of military checkpoints to get through, but they just consisted of some bunkers on the side of the road manned with soldiers who didn't seem too interested at all in someone on a bicycle passing through, so I ended up just riding through each one and wasn't stopped at all. So made it here fairly easily, and just spent the last couple of hours riding around town looking for places to eat. The majority of the population here is Muslim, so being Ramadan I had to hunt a bit to find some non-Muslim establishments where I could find some food. The next step is to find somewhere to sleep. There is a temple symbol marked on maps.me, so I'm going to head to that, and hopefully it's a Buddhist temple where I can ask politely whether I can stay the night. What an experience. I just walked in, spoke to the first monk that I saw. He was as confident with his English as I was with my Thai, so he led me to another monk who I was able to ask whether I could sleep here, and I was led to this little shelter in which I've set my tent up. I've had a shower, had a feed, washed my clothes, see hanging up.
and just relaxing, waiting for the sun to go down. Wish I could say enjoying the quiet serenity, but as you can hear, it's not so quiet. There's a school over that way, so a lot of kids running around. There's a lot of work being done by the monks in the grounds, a bit of mowing and that sort of thing. But still a very, very nice place to be, to spend the night. And so I've done it. My first night in Thailand has turned out amazingly, as has my first day in the country. And tomorrow I get to wake up in a Buddhist temple and hit the road again, and I just can't wait to see what tomorrow is going to bring. Day 2 in Thailand. I've just stopped for lunch. I've been passing through Muslim towns most of the day, and because it's Ramadan, that means that I'm not finding food. But I've just passed a Buddhist village, so I've come in, found a little restaurant here to have a beautiful little lunch, and I met a police officer, and he ended up handing me his phone randomly, on the other end of which was his brother, who was in the army, and invited me to visit his army regiment about 20 k's away towards the coast. So I said, yeah, why not? I've got a very simple screenshot from the soldier who I spoke to on the phone, and that tells me that somewhere in the next 5 or 10 kilometers up the coast there's going to be a barricade with a sign with the King of Thailand on it, and that's where I turn off and head towards who knows what. I don't expect I'm going to be able to get my camera out once I'm there, because I'm expecting there to be a hell of a lot of soldiers, especially considering the number of trucks that have been passing me over the last couple of hours. Absolutely chock-a-block full of army men with their guns. So I have no idea what I'm getting myself in for, but that's all part of the grand adventure. And if I can't get the camera out while I'm there, I'll get it out tonight once I've found myself a safe place to sleep, and tell you all about it then. And so the story unfolds. I've just spent a couple of hours with my new soldier friend called Mom, and I wasn't able to get my camera out there, but it didn't actually stop him from pulling out his phone and recording a video of him interviewing me for all of his Facebook followers. So once I get hold of that footage, I'll be able to hopefully show what happened there. And then at the end of hanging out with him and the rest of the soldiers, I've been put inside a car and I've been driven by a couple of soldiers back to the highway north of where I was back there. Apparently is pretty dangerous. There's been a car bombing in the last couple of days, and they were quite adamant that they really didn't want me going ahead on my bicycle, so I'm getting a ride back to the highway where I was before turning off towards the coast, and I'll be on the road again. And I think I'm going to have to try and find a village with a temple to sleep in, because I'm not spent too long there. I'm not going to make it to the town of Patani, but there should be at least a little place along the way that has a Buddhist temple where hopefully I can find another peaceful place to sleep for the end of my second day, adventurous day in Thailand. I'm now about a week's ride further north from where I was dropped off by the soldiers, which means I've left the southern provinces where military presence is still quite high, and I'm starting to get into places that people more often associate with Thailand. Places like incredibly beautiful beaches like this one here, which is off the coast from the town of Champon. It's near here that the famous islands of Koh Samui, Koh Phangan, which has the full moon parties, and also Koh Tao are found, but in favour of those places which are swarming with bucket-swilling backpackers, I've decided to come to a more quiet place. The more I get into cycle touring, the more interested I am becoming in just getting amongst the local community and not necessarily following the standard tourist track. And as you can see, this beach is absolutely beautiful and incredibly big, and I think I'm the only tourist on here at the moment. having been dropped off by the soldiers, I got back on the bike and continued north, and like I said, I didn't have time to reach the town I was heading for, so I found another decorated gateway through which a Buddhist village could be found, and there I found a temple where I could stay the night. And I thought my adventures for the day were going to be over as I was rinsing my sweaty clothes, but then I got called over to a bunch of soldiers that were stationed within the temple grounds, and they invited me for dinner, and I hung out with them for the rest of the night and learnt a bit more about the local situation. These guys were permanently based in the temple grounds, and they're there to offer protection to the monks. They escort the monks as they go about their normal business. They offer security to local schools, and during the night, one guy that I spoke to most was going to be camping out in the bush, sleeping in a hammock, and keeping an eye out for local bandits that might be around. So it was really interesting to hang out with them and learn more about what's going on in southern Thailand. Once I'm done chilling out here, I'm going to continue on to Bangkok, which is about 4 or 5 days ride away, and I've got some business to attend to there, the most pertinent of which is that I've got to renew my passport before I continue any further into other countries. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I've just arrived home and showered after a night out in Bangkok. But it wasn't a night out partying, it was a night out working. I've just been completing an 8-hour shift at a Japanese restaurant working as a dishwasher. I thought if I'm going to be stuck in Bangkok waiting for a new passport to come through to replace my one that's going to expire, I may as well use the time to immerse myself further in Thai life and get myself a job. I'm getting minimum wage, which is $1.50 an hour. So tonight, after working 8 hours, I've earned myself $12, and to put that into a bit of real life perspective, despite having worked all day, I didn't earn enough to get myself a bed in a hostel dorm room here in Bangkok. So me being from Australia, it's one very real way of appreciating how easy we have it at home. If I worked 1 hour, I'd earn more than if I had worked the whole day like I did today here in Thailand. So it's certainly an eye-opener. I've got a great team of people in the kitchen that I'm working with. They're all so friendly, even if we can't really talk to each other because they don't speak English and I don't speak Thai, but I think I'm enjoying my time there anyway, and it's just interesting seeing a bit of normal life in Bangkok and being a part of it. At the same time, I'm also living with a Thai family. I met a lovely family a couple of weeks ago further south in Thailand when I was riding through a small fishing village, and when I got to Bangkok, which is where they live, they invited me to stay with them. So that's been another incredible way to just get away from the standard touristy stuff and actually see a bit of real life here in the city. This time it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm still at work, so welcome to the place where I've been hanging out for the last week. This has been my little corner where I've been washing dishes, and this is where all the food's been getting prepped. I've been able to help out even more with a lot of the dishes, which has been pretty fun. And I'm more exhausted than I was last time, having done a full week here. Today I've been here for about 16 hours, and it's my last night, so I'm looking forward to actually having a bit of a break from washing dishes. But to have stuck it out for the week has been an incredible lesson in how I perceive the value of my time. I've definitely learnt a lot by working here, and I appreciate the experience very much, but it's time to move on. Tomorrow I head back into the big city of Bangkok, pick up my passport, get my Myanmar visa, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to moving on, being back on the bike and seeing where this adventure continues to take me. Unfortunately, my time in Thailand has to come to an end. I'm only allowed in the country for another 2 days before my visa runs out, so I've really got to get moving over these hills and into a brand new place where I can't wait to keep exploring and see what wonderful experiences continue to lie out there.